I want to get back to, you had two areas of skepticism, one around the success of these ceasefire deals and the other around how much a ceasefire would avert a wider conflict between Israel and Iran. Can you just give us a brief 30-second overview for folks who didn't see the headlines earlier this month? Why is there a concern about a broader conflict between Israel and Iran?
Well, I can do both at the same time, actually, so it'll be really quick. The Israelis are suspected, and I think it's a good suspicion, to have killed a leader of Hamas, one of the leaders of Hamas, in a guest house in Tehran on the occasion of the new Iranian president's inauguration. This was bold, to say the least, and it immediately resulted in the Iranian leadership vowing revenge against Israel. Iran, of course, a sponsor of Hamas. This was very, very embarrassing for the Iranian regime. This inauguration was to celebrate Hamas and other members of the so-called Axis of Resistance and their military successes against Israel over the course of these last 10 months. And here, ostensibly, the Israeli Mossad was able to assassinate this guy right under the noses of the Iranians. So that's why there's a real concern that there will be an intensification of the regional conflict. This happened a number of weeks ago. And so some of the current thinking is that the Iranians have been deterred by both the Israelis and a buildup of American forces in the Middle East. I think that they may have been deterred for the moment, but the Iranians are not going to let this pass. This was, as I said, bold and deeply embarrassing for them. And they have put themselves in a position where they're going to have to respond in some way, shape, or form, and it's going to have to be punishing. So even if that has not happened immediately, I think it's likely to happen sooner rather than later.
That's a little scary. What do you expect that retaliation would look like?
Well, lots of people are focusing on what happened last April when the Iranians fired 300 missiles and drones at Israel. I don't think that it's likely to come like that. You know, people are always fighting the last war. And there are a lot of options for the Iranians. They have what's called the Axis of Resistance, Hezbollah, which is part of the Axis of Resistance, which is a Lebanese militant organization, has an arsenal of anywhere from 130,000 to 150,000 rockets and precision-guided munitions that can do a lot of damage to Israel. So Hezbollah, in combination with the Iranians' own missiles and rockets. Then, of course, there are the Houthis from Yemen who have been constantly firing on Israel since the early days of this conflict. And then, of course, I think something that people haven't thought about is the fact that the Iranians have been pouring weapons and money into the West Bank through Syria for many, many months, even before October 7th, and have the ability to raise a storm of violence there, which is why the IDF, Israel Defense Forces, has not only been battling Hamas in the Gaza Strip, but they've been fighting what is essentially low-intensity conflict in the West Bank and arresting hundreds, thousands of people to prevent that kind of thing from happening. So there are lots of possibilities for the Iranians. They can strike Israel proper. They can strike Israeli interests abroad, which they've done before. It's coming. Something ugly is coming, even with the demonstration of American force and the Israeli threat to preempt an Iranian attack.